Welcome back to the board games Maelstrom. The bombs have fallen. There's radiation everywhere. Humans are having a hard time eating and surviving. And that is all in this brand new game by Tasty Minstrel Games, Downfall. It is a 3 to 6 player game by John D. Clare and Tasty Minstrel Games. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at this game in a category review. Here we are down at the table. This is a 3-player game that I am controlling 2 of the players, and my lovely wife, is controlling 1. And take a look at this board. We are like in the middle of the game right now. I thought this would be a good time to talk about it, give you my thoughts and my reviews. Basically, this is a post-apocalyptic game, and it's very tight on resources. You got to watch out for radiation killing your people. Radiation combines to become dead zones. This is something that we definitely want to avoid. So basically this is a 4X game, and I believe if I can say what the 4X's are, I don't know, we'll see, let's try. It is Expand, where you have to expand your empire. It is Explore, where you're exploring other tiles. It is Experiment, which is research and getting new technologies. And what is that 4th X? Exterminate, that's creating war on the other players and killing off their people. So, first of all, let's take my thoughts on the components. The components are really, really good. This cardboard, very thick, very nice. The artwork is beautiful. It's like toned down. It's not bright, of course, which adds to the apocalyptic theme. You have this big, beautiful victory point track and player board. Not player board, victory point track and event track that is all in what you're going to have to pay attention to in this game. Feeding your people, the radiation spreading, the wars that are going to be happening around the board are all going to come in from this event track as it moves around. Now, this is basically an action selection game, and what you're going to have is a bunch of cards. They're going to consist of certain actions: gather, regrow, and excavate, reinforce, build, command, research, and war. Also mixed in here are going to be these winter cards, and the winter cards are what moves the event track, because every time you draw a winter card, you must move that marker forward 1 spot, and then you draw another card to replace it. And this is how the game moves along toward the end game. We're playing a 3-player game, so there's 4 winter cards in each deck. One thing that I thought was a little weird is at the beginning of the game, the rules state that you have to, if you draw more winter cards than the players that are in the game, you must reshuffle all the decks and start over. It took us like 4 times of this to actually get a valid hand, because we kept coming up with the winter cards and it kept putting us over the player count. So that was, I didn't really like that part of it, but once we got it moving, it moves along fine. So in the gather action, basically what you're doing is you have resources that are in their raw form and in their gathered form, which is just on the other side of the token. As you can see, it's hard to see with my lighting. And when you gather, every one of your spaces that has a survivor in it flips over one of these tokens to gather it. And then you must store your resources if you're coming up on a event that's going to be spoilage, because if your stuff spoils, every gathered resource that is not stored spoils. So we don't want that to happen for sure. This is the dead zone right there, that large X. Everybody starts with one of these at the beginning of the game, and basically the entire game you are combating radiation. You are combating the radiation, trying to drive it back as it tries to keep going and keep expanding and killing your people. For example, in this last time, I didn't pay attention. I had a survivor on this ship, and the airship, it switched to 2 at the end of the round, and I only had 1 radiation protection because he was a equipped survivor, and he died. So I lost a victory point. Every time one of your guys dies, you lose a victory point. To equip a survivor, you would pay 1 gathered metal. I don't have any over here at this time. And then you would flip your survivor over, which garners you radiation protection. Now, other things garner you radiation protection as well. Bunkers do that, which are these large 3, mine are covered with resources, but these large 3 storage units are bunkers. They provide 1 radiation protection. Your outposts provide 1 radiation protection. That is this, which also has a stored resource in it. What else we got here? When you flip your survivors over, that provides radiation protection. So there's lots of different ways that you can get protection from the radiation, but trust me, as I found out this past round, it kills you quick. Now, we've played this game several times, and so we're just getting the hang of it now. I think everything it flows smoothly. The cards are nice. The choices you have are good. It's just everything's tight. I think of like the food. I think of Agricola. I think of feeding your people, because there are 1, 2, 3, 4 events in which you're going to have to feed your people. Now, in the first event, let's take a look at that on the board over here. In the first event, they give you 3 food, and when you get to the second event, they only give you 2 food. Third event, 1 food, and then the last event, they don't give you anything. So you have to plan ahead for the food. You have to plan ahead for what's going to happen here. So that's absolutely a thought you must have. Looks like we're getting a little extra lighting from my wife. I definitely have got to get filming lights. Basically, you're trying to survive, and at the end of the game, when everything gets added up, you get points for having survivors. You get points for going up the environment track. You get points for going. And let's take a look over here. That's the environment track over here, and then this over here is the what is that track called? Oh my goodness, my mind is blank. That is the. And now I'm gonna have to pull out the rule book just because I don't know what things are called. It would be in the, and I apologize for this. I will probably edit this part out. Yeah, good time. Let's see, that would be the reinforce action. I guess I can stop talking because I'm going to edit this out anyway. And this would be the culture track. This is another track. And then we have our victory point track, which I have a feeling is going to be pretty hard to climb. When you lose survivors, you lose victory points. There's all different kinds of ways that you can lose them. Also, we have event tracks that have these event cards, and I will take a look at some of the ones over here that we have not used, and different cards that you can have. These are random events. All players place 2 gathered resources of their choice on any space, so that's a good one. This one is draw 2 additional random event cards and complete each now. I don't know how good that might be. That's the same one. Players may remove any number of their own survivors from the board. For each survivor removed, place 1 gathered food in its place and lose 1 victory point. It says may, so I'm assuming you don't have to. And then random event. In 3 to 4 players, the youngest player searches their deck for a winner card, puts it in their discard pile, shuffling their deck afterwards. Well, that's interesting. And then another random event is players or player who have removed the most radiation may complete a free major command action now. That's something I haven't really talked about, is removing radiation. That's how you combat it. That's a good segue in. In removing radiation, you spend 2 oil or any one of any 3 resources, and you can remove any 1 radiation off the board, or you can take any 2 radiation down to a 1. But remember, as the radiation events happen again, the fallout happens, then we're going to be increasing the radiation all around this dead zone right there. And like I said, each player has a dead zone. This is this player's dead zone, and my wife's dead zone is on that oil field right there. So this is a bit to take in. There's a lot here. There's a lot of tokens. There's a lot of stuff. It's a heavy box. I do like the cool little spaceships that you have to build, but once you build them, you can keep them intact, but they keep them off the board a little. Spaceships, when you do your command action, allow you to move around the board. I currently have a technology. Let me pull this out and show it to the camera. I currently have a technology that allows me to, each of my airships provide a radiation protection, and they can move without somebody being on the ship to pilot it, which normally you have to have. So that is some research that I did. That helps me out tremendously. This is a bit of a... it's more, I would say, mid to heavyweight game. I mean, once you get it, it's not that bad, but learning everything is a bit of a, a strain at first. But we got through it. I think we understand the game really good now. Let's basically go over the other actions that you can do. Regrow and excavate allows you to place food, raw food, not gathered, but raw food, on the board. It allows you to place raw elements in like oil or stone or metal where you have outposts. So that's what that does. Reinforce allows you to do either A, B, or C, or D is you can do all three of them. Why, you're thinking to yourself now, why would I not want to do all three all the time? And and this is for each bunker you have. The reason is you got to feed your people, so you may want to avoid adding extra mouths to feed, for sure. Build allows you different things. Build is how you can get rid of radiation and go up on the go up on the track, the radiation track. The environment track, I'm sorry. Build allows you to remove radiation and go up on the environment track. Build also allows you to spend these resources here, as we can see. Metal to flip a survivor over, metal to build an airship. 3 stone builds you a bunker. 1 stone builds you an outpost, and it also allows you to move extra, create 1 battle strength by placing these command tokens. Command is how you move your people around the board. You also use command when you're getting ready to attack for war. As you can see, the blue player is encroaching on the green player here. He's got 2 tokens ready, and he may be getting ready to come in and try and wrest that space, because we do have a war event coming up. You might want to wrest that space away from the green player. And the last thing we can do is research, and that's where you go. You have this deck of research cards that you can do. There's several things in here. All of them are pretty decent. They help you out. Some have costs, but there are cards that if you have, if you play the research card, there is a card I think that allows you not to pay 1 less on the cost. So, you might get away with doing stuff for free. There's plenty of radiation tokens. There's plenty of ships. There's plenty of outposts. There is no lack of pieces in this game, let me tell you. This is a little bit of how it works. This is not a full rules overview. It's just a little bit of how it works, and I just wanted to show you what you get going. It's not hard to understand, but it is hard to get everything going and understand what's going on. Now we're going to go back up to the table and take a look at what I think about it. GoPro, stop recording. Hi, welcome back upstairs here. I really do like the way this game flows. I like the way it plays. I like the components. It's tight. It reminds me of Agricola in that way, with the feeding your people, your resources, making sure they're stored so that they're not going to be taken away from you. There's many facets to this game. There's lots of things you have to pay attention to. You have to pay attention to the radiation. You got to pay attention to feeding your people. You got to pay attention to a lot of things in this game. But if this seems undaunting to you, if it's something that you think you can handle, this is an amazing game. It's a lot of fun. I was able to teach my wife how to play it. We didn't do that on camera, because it is a bit of a harder game to teach somebody who's not really a board gamer, and she's played, but she's not really into the heavy games. I wouldn't classify this as a straight heavy game. I would classify it as a mid to heavyweight game. It's on the higher end of mid. That's what I would say. Here I'm looking at the board, not the camera. The components are great. The gameplay is good. The tightness of it, the decisions you have to make, just all enrich everything as the board spreads out and your resources begin to grow, and your people die because there's radiation. It's just like this big events that change things, and you know, you could have random events that happen that are in effect the rest of the game, good or bad. And so after playing this several times, and after, you know, thinking about it, you know, and doing my due diligence at getting this review done, it took me a little bit longer than I thought, but I did finally get it out for Tasty Minstrel. I would say that out of a category 4 out of 5, I would say would be what I would give this, which is pretty darn good. It's not perfect, but there's a lot of people who might find it, you know, hard to have your guys dying all the time and have things being taken away from you all the time, and they might consider this, you know, a game that, you know, just kind of depressing to play. But if you don't get into the theme that much, where you're so attached to this cardboard token survivor, then I think you're going to be fine. Like I said, we're going to give this 4 out of 5 stars. Tasty Minstrel just keeps hitting them out of the park. Every game they throw my way just seems to be, you know, really good production, really good game. And so, till next time, thanks for stopping by the Board Games Maelstrom.